The smoke smells like cedar and something older. I am 8 years old, standing at the kitchen window, and my breath fogs the glass in a small wet circle that keeps shrinking and growing. Outside, the sky is the color of wet ash. December 3rd, just after supper. My father walks the long path past the buggy shed, past the bare apple trees, toward the far edge of our field. He carries a small tin box under his arm. He does not look back. My mother stands behind me at the sink. She does not look out the window. She never does. I'm Rebecca, and this is Quiet Plain Stories, a small place where ex-Amish women tell the things we were never allowed to say out loud. If you've ever loved someone who kept a door closed inside themselves, please subscribe and stay close. And down in the comments, tell me, what's the family silence you grew up around? I read every one. The first time I noticed the date, I was 9. I had a little calendar my aunt had given me, the kind with a Bible verse for every month, and I had drawn a tiny star next to December 3rd without knowing why. The following year I drew another. By the 3rd year, my hand moved before my mind did. My father walked the same path. He wore the same black coat. He carried the same tin box, dented on one corner, with a small brass clasp that had gone green at the edges. The sameness of it was the strangest part. Amish life is built on sameness, but this sameness had a different weight. It hummed. I asked him once. I was small enough that my dress still had the hem my mother had let down twice. "Dad, what are you burning?" He had just come back from the field. His beard smelled of wood smoke and the cold air that lives inside a man's coat in winter. He looked at me for a long second, and his eyes, usually so steady, so plain, softened in a way I did not have a word for. He said, "That's something I need to do myself, Becca, okay?" Not want. Need. I held that word in my mouth for years. Our home was the kind of quiet that has rules. 8 of us at the long table, plates passed in the same direction every meal, prayer before and after, the clink of forks the loudest thing in the room. We were taught that questions belong to grown men and to God, in that order. My mother, Anna, kept a clean kitchen and a closed face. She knew. I am certain of this now in a way I could not name then. She knew, and she had decided, long before I was born, that knowing was a thing she would carry alone with him. The silence between them on December 3rd was not cold. It was careful. There is a difference, and a child can feel it even if she cannot say it. By the time I was 12, I had started watching from the upstairs window. The angle was better there. I could see him cross the second pasture and stop at the low stone wall where the property met the woodlot. He would kneel, not in prayer exactly. Amish men do not kneel for prayer, not like that. But in the way a man kneels when he is tending something small that matters. He would open the tin. He would take something out. He would feed it, piece by piece, to a fire he had built no bigger than a supper plate. And then he would sit, perfectly still, and watch it go. An hour, give or take. Then he walked home, and the next morning the field was just a field again. There is a word in our community, Gelassenheit. It means yielding, letting go, releasing your will to God's will, your wants to the community's needs, your past to the plain present. We heard it from the bishop, from our parents, from the worn pages of the Ausbund we sang from on church Sundays. Gelassenheit was supposed to be a soft thing, a holy thing. But watching my father kneel in that field, I learned young that letting go is not soft. It is a labor. It is a thing a man does with his hands, in the cold, alone, on a date he refuses to forget. I made theories the way other girls made quilts. By 15, I had a whole pattern stitched in my head, Maybe it was letters from before he joined the church. He had come in as a young man, not born plain, though we rarely spoke of his life before. Maybe it was photographs, the forbidden kind, faces from a world he had left. Maybe it was money. Maybe it was a name. Each theory was a small flame I lit and watched die, because none of them explained the need. None of them explained why a man would walk the same 100 yards every December 3rd for 50 years and come back with his shoulders a little lower than they had been before supper. One year, I must have been 17, the year before I started thinking about leaving, I followed him. I waited until he was past the buggy shed and slipped out the side door in my stocking feet, boots in my hand. The grass was iron stiff. I stayed low along the fence line. I could see the orange glow of his little fire before I could see him, and the smell of cedar reached me the way a memory reaches you, all at once. I got close enough to hear him breathing, and then, without turning, without raising his voice, he said my name. Just once. Rebecca. Soft as a hand on a shoulder. I went back to the house. I never tried again. After that, something in me made a kind of peace with not knowing. I grew up. I left the community at 23, the way some of us do, quietly and at night, with a small bag and a note I could not bring myself to read aloud before placing it on the kitchen table. The world outside was loud and bright and strange, but every December 3rd, no matter where I was, a rented room in Lancaster, a bus station in Ohio, a small apartment with electric heat that clicked on at odd hours, I would feel the date land in my chest like a stone dropped in still water. He was out there, in that field. I knew it the way you know your own heartbeat. And I had made my peace, I thought. I had. Until the winter my mother called.